everybody, welcome back to the conversation series. This is episode 3. I am very excited because you have seen this person a lot. Kaitlyn Pettey is here with us today. Kaitlyn is my best friend. She's 16 years.
I thought you were going to say I was like 16 years old.
Is it 16 years?
Yeah.
Yes. And so has been around for a lot of things. We've been through a lot. We both graduated in December. Thank God. I'm gonna let you tell everybody where you went to school and everything like that, what you graduated with. Go ahead.
I went to Appalachian. Well, I first started out at UNC Charlotte for like 2 years. That's where I got my associate's degree from. Yep. And then I actually graduated from Appalachian State University with a degree in public relations and journalism and a minor in Spanish.
Hola. It's so bad because we'll like speak Spanish. Like I just took the regular classes and we're both like,
no, I could write it really well, but like this, like I still struggle with speaking it. I try, but it's hard. It's so hard.
So Kaitlyn right now does a lot of, well, she's trying to get into PR.
Yes. I'm doing a lot of freelance work right now. Right now I am...
Where you can't do anything.
Yes. Right now I cannot do anything. I would like to, but I also think with everything going on, it was a good reason. Like, so I was a bar manager at a really young age of 23, almost 23, which is like great, but also not great. And for the bar, I also do all of their PR stuff. Which was actually really important during these times because we had to have a plan in place and kind of work on statements that we were releasing out to our guests. But anyways, it was also a really good thing that I got let go because now after this is all over, I can actually focus on my big girl career versus being a bar manager and doing freelance work.
It's been really stressful.
It's a lot in 1 week.
It's been really, really stressful. While you were at App, I think we should tell a story of how we got to the places that we did in the second half of our college career. So I was at ECU for 2 years.
Okay.
Kaitlyn was at UNC Charlotte for 2 years. We both, that is not where either of us wanted to be. No. I don't want to say that where we ended up in our first 2 years was like...
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
But ideally, I think we both realized that it wasn't the environments that we wanted to be in. Right. And I think, college is not easy by any means, but I also realized when I got to Appalachian State that maybe the curriculum I had at Charlotte wasn't as intense as I was expecting college to be.
Right. When I got to State, I was challenged more in my business program than I was when I was at ECU for 2 years.
Yeah.
So, there were significant differences.
Between the two, yeah.
And it wasn't just, we went from our basic classes to the 400 level. It was the things that we were being taught, it was
just
it was a heavier
material. Well, and so at Charlotte, so I knew, I wanted to be a communications major, and so at Charlotte, you don't have dedicated majors for like public relations and journalism. They don't even have a journalism major. You have to do the minor, and it's only online, and it's like 3 classes. But like at Appalachian State, like yes, you have the communications department, but you actually have the individual majors within them, which is really great, obviously.
Yeah. And it was, so then after we both kind of, it was a very, very stressful time for both of us. It was like one weekend, it was like hell.
Transferring is, well, I was actually, so we both wanted to go to NC State, and I came home.
Like we had a plan.
Yeah, I came home one weekend, and my mother was out of town, and my mother and all of her sisters are like NC State alum, and my grandfather was a professor there, so everyone was kind of like banking on like, Kaitlyn's gonna get in.
I still don't understand to this day.
We were sitting in Danielle's house and like...
Literally here. We were here.
And it was like, it uploaded. Because NC State, it's like a set day that you find out. Appalachian, I found out I was accepted in, I think, in February. Because we found out in April. It was like early. It was around this time.
Yeah.
And so Appalachian, I found out kind of like 2 weeks after I applied. They were like, yeah, like, you're in. And I was like, great.
Sweet.
Fantastic. So, like, I knew I was getting out of Charlotte either way.
Right.
But, like, ultimately, my goal was NC State, and then we got them, and I didn't get in, obviously. And it was just kind of like...
That was one bad. That was, like, the first thing that was bad. And then the second thing, Kaitlyn's was posted, like, everybody's was supposed to be posted at the same time. Mine was not.
Yeah. Hers wasn't even updated.
Q all weekend. I go all weekend with...
Knowing that, hey, I didn't get in, like...
I'm stressing out. I finally email NC State's, like, who
their admissions people.
And I'm like, I did not get my decision. I didn't even get that I was denied or whatever. Yeah. And the response to me was, oh, we forgot to press the button on your thing. And I was like,
geez,
I'm sorry, what? You didn't press the button on my thing? And so then as soon as I got that, I got that I was accepted. Mm-hmm. But then once we kind of like, her and I finally were like, okay, we were like,
it was fine.
It ended up,
like, it was the best decision for me, and I mean, I would have been happy at NC State, but like Appalachian totally fit my personality, and I was like, well,
up in the mountain, right?
Yeah, I chose it as my backup option for a reason.
Yeah, yeah,
which was great.
So while you were at App State, you were involved.
Yes.
For your 2 years that you were there.
2.5.
2.5 years. We have to remind everybody that we were there for 2.5 years because we were transfer kids. Everybody's like 2.5. I'm like, I transferred.
Yeah, you lose credits. Even though they're all in the same system, it's really not.
So you are part of Zeta Tau Alpha.
Yes, I was.
For 2.5 years. Would you like to tell everybody what you did while you were in what Zeta is and what you did there?
Well, they're a national Panhellenic sorority. And I went in the recruitment process, like, obviously older, but I was behind in my credits, so I technically was a sophomore, so I was like, hey, I can still do it. And Appalachian was, like, way laid back than almost all of the schools, I think, in North Carolina about Greek life.
Good grief.
So then I joined, and I was like, okay, I know I'm older, so I'm probably not going to get a lot of opportunities. But I was literally, like, at the end of my first semester, I was offered a recruitment assistant position, which was awesome. That was, like, one of the top things that I did. And it was stressful, but it was a lot of experience, and I helped put together all of recruitment for the following year.
Which is, like, that's stressful in and of itself. What was your official title?
I was assistant to the third vice president of recruitment. So, like, Zeta you have your president, and then you have 3 vice presidents of new members. First one is activity. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to the first one because whatever. And then the second one is new membership, which is like your new member mom and bid day planner. And then you have the recruitment director who plans spring recruitment if you have it in your chapter, and then the big fall recruitment of the following year.
Right. So one thing that is different about like App State's sorority that is different from everybody else is that there is no like sorority house.
Nope, we're not allowed to have sorority houses because it's Boone law that a gathering of or a household of 5 or more women is considered a brothel.
It's
hasn't been updated.
Welcome to the South.
Their city council is also a bunch of old people. So because that's the other half of Boone is you have the college kids and then it's old people, which is a really fun mix. So yeah, you don't like run from house to house. Instead, you rent out rooms in the student union.
Okay.
And you have like a meeting place with your group, and then you have like 3 minutes between each round to run between the entire student union, which is a lot of fun.
So, and I know that at the beginning, you have sent me videos and stuff. You were the one getting a lot of the packages for stuff that you had for, like, you were the one that was getting all of that stuff.
I was basically the backbone all summer. My recruitment director was from Austin, Texas, and she moved home for the summer.
That's fun.
So she couldn't do anything until she moved back for school. So I had a master Excel sheet of every single package.
Yeah.
I had to go through our internal and external storage units, which were filled to the brim with just like, we're not organized, and having to go through that it just sucked.
Yeah.
And then I also had to contact vendors and make sure our orders were going to be in place for when we came back to school. Because if they weren't, and they weren't at the precise time, then our whole day was messed up.
It's bad.
It's really
bad.
And then you have to make graphics and everything like that just to promote your own organization. But App State, you also can't say things like "Go Greek." They have a fun little phrase that they say every year. So like my year that I was director, like assistant, it was "Grow Greek," so you had to work that in, and that just
doesn't roll off the tongue.
Doesn't roll off really easily.
Yeah.
You also can't say things like "rush" at all.
Is it just App States kind of stuff?
Yeah, and you can't like advertise for your specific sorority, like, oh, Grow Greek with Zeta Tau Alpha, or like Rush Zeta. You just have to promote like going through recruitment.
So what I think a lot of people don't think about this is that like the people that are working behind the scenes of sororities, it's actually like a very efficient or somewhat efficient system that y'all are having to work.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of pieces that are going into it.
Yes.
To making it happen.
So like I was assistant, right? And then for every different round you had a committee, and so I would tell the committees what had to be done when and make sure they were on time, and they were the ones who would actually like go in every morning and set up the rooms for the day and things like that, which was like, and making I mean, you have to sit there and make sure that they have a whole,
it's having the picture come to life kind of situation.
Yes, and it's really hard in a student union when the walls are painted blue and you have ugly football pictures everywhere. It's really interesting.
It's a student union for you.
Exactly.
So there was something else that you were involved in that kind of relates to your major while you were at App State.
Yes.
What was it?
Queen Bee.
No, your public relations.
Oh, PRSSA.
It really rolls off the tongue.
That's a Public Relations Student Society of America.
It's kind of like American Marketing Association. It kind of relates to your major. What did y'all do?
Basically it's a club where you come together and you kind of discuss strategies, and a lot of it too is like towards the later half was like job hunting, but we would kind of reach out to different like public relations firms in the North Carolina state and have them talk to us about what they do on a day-to-day basis and how it can change from like healthcare PR to like more of your like social image PR and things like that.
And I think a lot of people, when they think public relations, they just think of one thing. There are different types of public relations.
Yeah. Like healthcare PR I could never do because that's intense.
Oh my gosh.
It's intense. Like we were talking to this one guy who was an App State alumni, and he's a really big healthcare person for Wake Med hospitals and all that. And so he was saying like anytime, like it's like one time there was a guy who drove his car through one of the hospitals and like killed killed half a wing of people. So it's like, how do you address? He was like, addressing that situation while you're not at fault, you were still responsible for the care of those people, and you're a hospital. It's hard to sit there and have to work through those steps, and it's just a different another language kind of, just like normal PR.
Is there a specific PR that you want to get into?
Probably like celebrity PR if I could. It'd be really cool. I like, so kind of more of your social like image kind of thing. So I like that, or like crisis. I like crisis PR. Like so like like I took a crisis communication class, and the professor and I really bonded, and she was like, you'd be really good at crisis, and I'd be like, all right. So basically I work for a cruise, like basically a cruise line is the most basic example of crisis communication, because they have so many things that go wrong that people don't even know, and then it's like when something happens.
Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine.
No, when you're in international waters, like for example, if someone's murdered.
Well, and not even just to think about it, like what if something happens, like
yeah, you're in international
to the
waters,
ship.
so there's no specific country that wants to claim the issue or address the issue. So you have to kind of work through that, and so it's really up to the crisis people, or like just to address that, or like with everything going on right now, they would need a crisis person to be like, all right, this is how we're addressing the coronavirus with our ships, blah blah blah. Like I was sitting there this whole time with spring break, I've been like, sorry, they should cancel the cruises. Simple as that.
Oh, absolutely. Now, does like airlines fall into like the crisis? Like I would assume airlines are super crisis people.
Weather, disease. So like the CDC and the WHO, they have somebody who's doing all their crisis stuff right now.
Sure.
He said weather. I'm trying to. Well, that natural disaster, whatever.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Politics, that also falls. And celebrity kind of falls over crisis depending on what you're trying to target with celebrity, but it's like that's the easiest
fall into the celebrity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So all sports teams and stuff like that.
Yes. I mean, sports has its own like section kind of. It's like if you want to do general public relations for a team versus like, okay, I just want to represent one player. Right. And like any issue that comes about, it's my responsibility.
Okay. But if it's a whole team, it's different.
It's like different, yeah. So it's just like working on, like that's a person who like issues team statements or like works with kind of like, okay, what can we do with the team and project out to them that, hey guys, like this is how we appreciate our fans. This is kind of building more fan base, but also
kind of like when everything was just going on and they put out the statement that the seasons were closing. Yes. Each team kind of put out a statement.
It's working on like, it's not necessarily like the advertising part, like trying to get you to like them. It's kind of more like we need to have a written statement and make sure that it not only flows and translates well to the fans, but also we're not offending anybody, like the victims of the coronavirus and stuff like that. And like trying to, it's kind of like you have a puzzle and you have to put the piece together to make sure the image is not just pretty, but like, okay, it's not offensive, it like flows well, it's cohesive, and we're not going to get any backlash from this. Okay. Because if there is,
it's like a spider web. It's a very sticky
like the
language
web. Is like, you just have to be careful, and like especially with like these apologies, it's very obvious when some celebrities write them themselves versus when they have an actual team behind them.
The agency that they are with.
A good PR representative should never let their client write their own apology.
God, I hope not. I hope not.
I mean, if you look at James Charles, like, disaster. I think Vanessa Hudgens, she just offended a bunch of people because she was saying that she didn't understand.
Oh, yeah.
And she wasn't taking everything seriously with the coronavirus. And then she was just like, I'm really sorry, guys. Like, I didn't understand at the time. And it's like, what you should have done is talk to somebody, gotten educated, and then spread awareness versus just apologizing on your mistake, because it still makes you look bad.
Still makes you look.
Yeah, you have to be careful. Like, you have to apologize, but it's like you can also use the platform, like the apology platform, to do so many different things at that time too.
Now, in your college classes, did you have to take, like, are there specific, like, English or communications classes you take to understand and kind of give speeches kind of like this?
Yes. So I had a speech writing class, and that was open to all communications majors, but it was like, you could also use that however you wanted it in your major, but I took public relations writing, which was just specific to us. Yeah. And we learned how to just do numerous things, like writing statements, but also writing news releases. Okay. Media
so different
releases.
Kinds of
like different
outlets.
Yes. Like, you don't want to write, like, all of your statements should not be the same.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like, your written one should obviously hold more length and body. Absolutely. But, like, if you're going to tweet it out, like, tweet out a video.
It's kind of like marketing in the sense that what you say in a tweet. Like, you only have so many characters to
Yes,
say in a
exactly.
tweet.
So don't sit
but
there
when on a
and do,
Facebook
like,
post, things could be longer. Instagram, it has a picture to go with it in the caption.
But it's also a lot of things. It's like differentiating between what should be written and what should be spoken.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you brought up something else you did, your Queen V internship. You're a brand ambassador for them.
Yes.
Are you still doing it?
No.
Okay.
You can only be in college.
Okay, so go ahead and explain what Queen V is.
They are a feminine hygiene company. They're bringing a fresh face to like feminine hygiene and getting women to recognize the importance of it at younger ages by using like kind of more modern fonts, logos, getting college ambassadors.
Right.
Their colors are really bright and they have stickers and stuff like that. So the colors of Queen Bee are pink, blue, and green. And the pink is like your fun stuff with your Queen Bee. Blue is about the health and upkeep, and green is also like health and upkeep, but it's mostly like when your Queen Bee is kind of sick. Kind of like a UTI kind of thing.
Got it. Got it.
Yes.
So what did you do with Queen Bee through App State?
Being an ambassador, it's like you have to use your own social media outlet to broadcast to your fellow App State students the events you're hosting for the brand. So I get a box every single month full of fun stuff that I had to hand out on campus. And then I would have to host different tabling things and like spread like awareness about the brand, as well as like promoting their message and things like that. And then I would get paid at the end of every month, which was kind of cool. I would also write different blog posts for them to be submitted on their blog, but I would get paid for them no matter what, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just kind of like spreading awareness versus, so it's like a different kind of PR message. Like, oh, like I mean, I was talking about awareness before, like using platforms, but it was like, this was using actual like social media tactics to promote a brand, and while it kind of was advertising and marketing for them, I mean, I just considered it a PR experience too.
Were there other people at App State that were doing this with you?
Yes, but that was one of the things that I think they should work on, because like I had no idea that there was other girls on there.
Yeah. So you were doing a lot of it by yourself sometimes. Okay. What is like the biggest take that you got from? Because I mean, you did it for a long time. What was the biggest thing you got from working with Queen Bee?
Definitely the importance of social media, but also I think it's hard for, like, I mean, brand ambassadors are great tools, and I think they're a great tool.
Yeah, I've been a brand ambassador for several different companies.
And I definitely think other brands could do better by like attributing to that.
Right.
But I think it's also like a brand ambassador to me is different than paying for an influencer to advertise, because it's just it's somebody who's more personal or personable, I feel like, versus like, oh, there's an influencer who I'm never gonna be like. So I guess for me it was kind of like I needed to use my following base for good and not just for me. So I think it was very interesting to really look at your own personal social media account and being like, how can I use this for a business? Right. But it's also a lot easier to use a business Instagram account.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What is like, were there requirements that you had to do certain things with them?
They would send you out an assignment list like every semester.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just like you need to
how many
host,
posts you needed to have,
or how many
stories.
like do this giveaway and do this tabling event and like blah blah blah. So it's like okay, and then it's like you had to write a blog post, like at least 2 blog posts every month, write reviews, or if you had like a channel.
Was there a way they kept track of you doing all of this?
We would have a folder under Google and we would submit it every month or share it every month. You had to have people who took pictures of you doing the thing and send it to you. And stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. So that they definitely were able to keep track of you and see that. The other thing you did do,
briefly,
an internship while you were at App.
Yes.
Briefly.
Very.
Who did you do it with?
Twickenham House and Hall. It was a very brief experience because they
What
were very
did they do?
disorganized.
What do they do?
It's a wedding venue. It's one of the top wedding venues
Yeah.
up there. Scotty McCreery just got married there.
Not while you were working there.
Yes, and they were very disorganized. Before I was there was one girl who was kind of doing all of their social media, and so I kickstarted a blog for them. That way they could have local vendors kind of advertise, like use the space to advertise or also promote the venue. I talked to old brides and grooms and like things like that, just to have like kind of a reflection on the entire experience and how we contributed to the day, photographers, things like that. So I was there for a little while, and it was a really good experience, but like the disorganization ultimately in the end, I was like, this is not good, and I am also a student, I cannot do this.
Were you the only one?
There was, I'm not going to say any names, there was the lady's assistant, and she was there, but she was the one I mostly could talk to, and she was just very stressed out. She wasn't getting any help, and she was also like the babysitter for the family and things like that. So
Got it.
Yeah.
So she was running a whole business while having
and
other
then
things.
they also had a graphic designer who was also an Appalachian student, and but I didn't really talk to her. I just kind of handed her my material, and I was just like, do with it what you want.
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Just make it look how you want it to look on there.
Yeah. Do what you want with it.
Do what you want. If you know how to do all the tips and tricks better than me, so go ahead.
Where do you want to go? Like, where do you want to go in your career?
Like, place-wise or like anything?
Both. I know where you want to go.
Yeah. I want to move to Chicago. Really, really bad.
How's that going now? Good?
I had a really good head start, and then this stuff happened. One of my friends that her roommate is moving out in June, and she was like, come on, like July 1st you can move in. And I was like, but I don't have a job.
Yeah.
So she wants me to be a substitute teacher for her private school. I am in no way, shape, or form going to do that. I think where I would like to start in Chicago, there's a couple of actual public relations firms I would love to work for.
Right.
And I would like to do more like local ones to that area versus like some that just have headquarters in big cities.
Right.
But if that's not going to work, then they also have like a film institute I would love to do PR for, or like other local venues like their aquarium or something like that.
Yeah.
And if ultimately that fails, then I would love to do public relations for like, if I could do any way, shape, or form for like the Cubs, that would rock. But like that's not gonna work.
That'd be cool. It'd be really cool.
But like if that all fails, then I'll reach out to local businesses and see what kind of help they need, because they all need help and stuff like that.
So, do you consider doing whenever you get to Chicago, whether none of that works out, doing freelance, just hopping around?
Yes, it's just, I think it's easier for me to do it here because I have connections who are like, hey, I know this person and I know that person. But it's like in Chicago, I have like a really, like at the moment, I just have a really small circle.
Right.
So it's like I could reach out to them and tell them to tell the other people that they know, but it's like ultimately they're just going to know a bunch of other 20-somethings.
Right.
Versus at these people who are actually struggling.
Older.
Yeah. Like these actual business heads that are like, wow, yeah, actually I need a website designer. That sounds great.
Right.
So, it is what it is. I will get there.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, and I will get there eventually. I really wanted to be there sooner, but this whole thing.
We're not going anywhere right now.
No, so I'm like trying to tell my friend Colleen, like, don't look for another roommate. Like, don't.
I'm coming.
I'm gonna come.
Yeah.
Just hold off.
Yeah.
It might not be in July.
Yeah.
We shall see. I don't know. I mean, I've gotten everyone on board so far, so like, let's just
keep the ball rolling.
Just keep on rolling. But there's no money right now, so can't make rent in Chicago without money.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's great. It's great.
To end this, I always ask everybody your 2020 professional and personal goals.
Okay, well, my personal goal is to move to freaking Chicago.
Besides that.
I think Professionally, my professional goal is I would like to be in a firm by the end of 2020. I would like to be a part in a machine. I don't want to work in a little cubicle, but I want to get out of the position I am now, and I want to start, like, kickstart my actual big girl, here we go life.
Yeah. This is something, like, I've had conversations with a lot of people about, just because personally, like, I've done different internships where I'm very much on the move. I'm going to people, I'm creating, and the opportunity that I have coming to me, it'd very much be a desk. And it's, do you see yourself as being somebody that could do that, like corporate America, or do you feel like you have to be on the go?
That's a tough question, because I like being on the go, and I like the freelance kind of just like bopping around, and ultimately I can kind of have my own workspace at home to work on and finish projects on. But I also wouldn't hate commuting somewhere and having a dedicated space and a dedicated team to work with, where it's like, all right, like, I know I'm gonna get stuff done there, versus like if I sit in my own office, it's like there's so many ways I could procrastinate right now.
Now, has it ever crossed your mind when you get further down the line in your career of, hey, maybe I start my own PR, like where I have my own vision of how I want things to work?
I would love that. If I could, like, maybe 15 years down the road, have my own firm, that would be ideal. Right. But that's a lot. But I would love that. And then I could work with a bunch of different, I could use that freelance stuff, but use it to channel a bunch of different businesses.
Absolutely.
It'd be great.
Absolutely. That's what I'm working on right now.
Oh God,
that's what I'm working on right now.
That's so hard.
But personal, you just want, your only personal is to go to Chicago. You don't have anything else personal that you want to work on.
I mean, I guess I can't think, because like I can't do anything right now.
It's like it's very hard. Like everything's on stand.
And that's the thing. It's like I'm trying to. I guess one of my personal goals is I'm starting to change up my wardrobe to how I actually want it to be. Right. And I did that successfully this winter, but it's a matter, like, I have no clothes right now, and so I would really like to actually like freshen up my summer and spring closet to reflect how I want it to. Yeah. Wanted to travel and do stuff more, but can't go anywhere.
So one thing you do have, I want to say a passion for, I don't know if it's actually a passion of yours, is actually like filters and editing and things like that.
I love that work. You are editing work.
Yeah, you are like, you love it.
I do. I can't help it. Visco is like my best friend.
What is, like, are there platforms that you like to use?
I love Visco.
Do you jump back and forth?
What's another one I use? I've been toying with this app called Over lately. You have to pay for it, but I have like a free thing, and you can add different backgrounds. I also really like Photoshop because I can edit out a boring background. Right. I have made it my resolution to not use Facetune, so like, yes, I'll put a filter on a photo, but I also don't like it to be so heavy where you can't tell that it's still me. Right. So things like that. I'm trying to think. Unfold, that's like a good Instagram story app that I really like to use. Yeah. And I'm using Precool from TikTok. It's pretty cool. I like it. A little TikTok promo. I love TikTok.
It's how I've been entertaining myself.
Yeah. But I learned that it is one of the up and coming platforms, and that it'll overtake Twitter soon.
I'm surprised it hasn't already, honestly.
I mean, I think people got bored during the coronavirus, so they're taking to Twitter too, so they're tweeting their feelings.
You know. It saves you from texting your ex-boyfriend. I mean, great. Fantastic.
Congratulations.
Keep being on Twitter then.
If you're interested in PR, you really should give it a go and research it. It's a really up-and-coming thing. If you like writing, it's a really good way to combine that love but kind of hone in your skills for a more professional take, which is really great. And it's also one of those businesses that's never going to die out. People are always going to need somebody to get the language right for them, even if they don't think they do. After their first major screw up, like, they will realize it. and there's an abundance of jobs. Even though there's a hiring freeze, it's probably gonna happen right now.
Yeah.
There's still an abundance of jobs anywhere you look. Like in
Yeah.
North Carolina, Charlotte has a complete abundance of PR jobs
Yeah.
if you just search for them. Like, just go for it. And it's a lot more than just like social media. There is writing to it.
Yeah.
But like, I also love captions. Like, coming up with captions is one of my favorite things.
I can't.
I write them down.
I have people come up with captions for me. Like, I suck.
I sit there and I write them in my notes when I think of a good one.
Oh my. I can't. Like, I can't.
I write
do
all.
captions.
I write all my friends. Anytime anybody needs a text sent out, I will type it up for them. Emails, things like that. Like, if you need editing on a paper, like, you learn so much on how to just talk to people, which is another reason why not just public relations, but communications is great. At least you take one, it'll change how you talk to people.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and it'll change, like...
Well, when it falls under communications majors, you hope you can talk to people.
Well, yeah, you really.
You
if you can't,
really
don't look
hope
at them.
As a communications major, you can talk to people.
But also, it'll, like, in times of issues, it'll teach you that instead of confrontation, all you need is communication. More successful conversation.
Make that a headline right now.
Confrontation's scary. Like, it ain't fun. And some people just go straight for it, when if you just address the problem normally, it'll be way better.
Absolutely.
So just take a comm class. It's really fun. Speech
I thought you said take a calm class, and I was like,
we're gonna take a calm class.
Let's take a calm. Let's take a minute, guys. Let's take a minute.
Just a breather.
Just a little second here and there. All right, y'all. So thank you so much for stopping by for this conversation series. We have a few more coming, but please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe down below, and I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.